It's really interesting and exciting to see people that I know, haven't seen for a long time, people that I've never met before, come and see what I've been doing recently. So I suppose I'll probably start at the beginning of this particular body of work, which was an essay, call it an essay I suppose, that I was invited to write by Patrick and Hans in 2019 when I came to see an exhibition here of John's actually in this space, and we had quite a long conversation about my work and interests, and they asked me if I would like to write something for Saturation Point website, and I said yeah, that'd be fantastic, because I had finished my doctorate and I was desperate of course to write.
You're so desperate.
Yes, but I thought that that'd be really interesting to write something that kind of didn't, you know, was sort of a level but didn't have the weight of that whole tone upon it. And please bear with me if I'm looking at my phone, because again it's these sort of lost people, these lost souls in here. It was 2019, and then the pandemic, as we all know, came upon us, and it was really in the spring of 2020, in the lockdown, that I wrote to Patrick and Hans and said, actually, do you know what, I'm at home, would it be good if I wrote something now, and I would like to kind of embed it in something about the lockdown as well. And I had spoken to Patrick and Hans about my interest in sort of brutalist architectural forms, a sort of organic and inorganic connection between things that are one, both symbiotic, etc. And I'd given myself a little project over the years between like 2016, 17, 18, 19, where every summer when I visited the Hitchin Lido, which was built in 1938, I would shoot the fountain, which was a beautiful Art Deco hexagonal fountain. And what I was interested in there was something which is an abiding interest in my work, which is the idea of the fluid and the fixed, which came from my doctorate research. And it was this hexagonal fountain where the water either got turned on, it flowed more or less, or actually the one summer they had a bit of a water shortage, so it didn't flow at all, and it just had residue water in it. So I had been making this series of films, so I thought I would write something about my memories of visiting that Lido and the architectural forms and the idea of the great outdoors, the interwar period, and this sort of idea that we can all go out and we can sort of exercise and swim and all these kinds of things. Because at that point in time, we weren't able to do that. So I thought it was very pertinent to write that at that point. The starting point for this work was that essay, Lido Memories, from 2020. And then Saturation Point invited me to do a show sort of after writing that essay. And this was of course delayed several times, and it came to a sort of a year on from the Lido Memories essay where we kind of tried to establish a kind of date for the exhibition, so which was originally July, I think, and then it's been put back to now. So I thought I need to go back to that, the Lido, and kind of make a body of new work that resonated and linked with that. But still in the lockdown of 2021 at this point, just at the tail end of it, lots of conversations with friends about, you know, everyone's at home, they're making their own food, and I have lots of friends that sort of forage. So I went on this expedition to the Brutalist Telephone Exchange in Stevenage, and whilst I was there, there's a park opposite. I thought, well, it was a sort of a brutalist foraging expedition, which suits me because I just love plants, fungi, and all that sort of thing, and brutalism. So it's like that, you know, nice coming together of things, really. At the same time, I was reading Jane Bennett's 2010 book, Vibrant Matter, Political Ecology of Things, which is just perfect, of course. And I'm like, this is great. It's like, I look at a piece of concrete and I love a fungi and I am me and I just, so it all made sense to what I kind of love and am interested in terms of Bennett's new materialist perspective of a parity of things, where the inanimate, the animate, the organic, the inorganic disrupt the norm of hierarchy of humans at the top, then animal, then organic, then, you know. So I'm like, yeah, great, my rocks are fine. It's like, yeah, they're good, yeah. Because I am also a collector of rocks and fossils. And I've done it since I was a child, and I grew up in the sort of formative, part of the formative years of my life growing up, between the ages of sort of 8 and 13, were in a sort of remote Somerset village where we didn't have a telly, which was an intentional thing. And we were sort of given art materials and then just told to go out and play. So of course we climbed trees, we broke sticks. I'm trying to kind of suggest to you the things that kind of influence a lot of what I do. We broke sticks, we dug up fossils, we kind of made clay out of the mud, etc., that kind of thing. And my father, who was an architect, built a house for us, and he took us to see all the progress of it. Coming back to Bennett's book, what I would have previously described as this kind of eclectic mix of what I'd called my research resonances was, now I felt I had a kind of a name for it, so I, you know, dare I say, part of this like materialist set of people, really. And I am going to read just one thing from here, which I would say it's lingering over inanimate objects. I've always had a fascination with rocks, fossils, the human-built environment since a young age. And growing up in a small village where play consisted mainly of scrambling, climbing, digging, finding things, listening to my father, who was an architect, showing me drawings, architectural models, which influenced my work. I suppose it's inevitable that I would then find Bennett's ideas and natural conclusion of the way things in the world have always appeared and appealed to me. And it's for these reasons that I have chosen to show the sculptures and the rocks and the photograms of the models in the same space. So an intention to do that. And to open up this conversation of the sort of parity of things in the world, which is the politics of things. And inviting the viewer to dwell in the imaginative ambiguity of the objects, their material surfaces, the place and time, to reimagine the time that we're in.